Hi, and welcome to the Man Myth Podcast.
Hello. We have a special guest again. Not that this is the second time, but Brent is joining us. He's a fitness guru, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about depression and fitness and exercise, how it all ties into helping you. So let's go ahead and have Brent introduce yourself a little bit and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so I'm Brent, aka Brent the Black Sheep. I currently, I'm dad, 2 kids, twice divorced. Recently found out a whole bunch of fun stuff about my mental health, and with that, have been able to parlay that into my career. So I've been I call it a street legal strength coach and nutrition coach for almost 8 years at this point. I did it before that out of my basement without certifications and things like that. But I have 9 different certifications currently in that realm in fitness, nutrition, sleep, stress management, and recovery. I'm currently working on 2 certifications, one on mindfulness and one on DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy through PESI. And all around, kind of okay guy sometimes.
He's playing himself down. He's awesome, dude. We love Brent.
Thanks, bro.
This is your 2's episode. I'm just here. I don't know.
Oh, you'll come in, I'm sure. So a couple things.
No, I'm taking a nap.
Just take a nap.
We'll take turns on that.
Yeah. I'll just hit mute. When somebody goes mute, just have somebody else talk. So
all the guys taking naps.
What was your inspiration to get into the fitness training and all the certifications?
So it was 2 things. One was unhappiness in my current position, and the other one was watching my great-grandparents. So at the end of their lives, my great-grandparents, it kind of seemed like this was the life of somebody over 70 or 80 years old. You get up, you wake up in the morning, you eat at the time, what was a healthy breakfast, which was, tons of carbs and things of this nature. You take a bunch of pills to stay alive, you watch TV. You get up at lunch, you eat more food, you take more pills, so you can go to the doctor to get more pills, to come home, to watch more TV. And it just seemed like that's what the end of life was like. And it just kind of felt like there needs to be more to this. Like, we need to be able to take care of ourselves. So those last years that you have left, you're still active. You can still go out and do things, and move well and feel well. So that way you're still contributing instead of just kind of being alive. So that was one. The other was I was completely miserable. I was in restaurants, which was like one of the worst places in the world for me to be. But they paid me well to do it because I was good at it. And I laid in bed one day and I just thought about things that I was passionate about. And when it came to fitness, I was like, all right, well, there's tons of information to learn that I can stuff into my head and just keep me happy on that, because I need to constantly feed my head. I'd be making a better contribution to the world. You can make decent money if you're willing to hustle. And you get to help people. So I started transitioning in that direction. I was able to do really, really well. I worked at a big box gym for years. I was the number 1 earner at that gym for the years that I was there. And now I've been running my own 3 years with a mild break when some personal issues happened. For the most part, I've been running my own business since I got furloughed and during the pandemic.
The pandemic was one of those hit or miss things, wasn't it? Like, when you talk to people about the pandemic, they, especially if, like you said, they got furloughed or lost their jobs, there's one of 2 things happened, and it's total opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, you found something that you got to do that you loved, and you're happy, and you make money, like all this stuff. And then you see the other people, and I know a bunch of people like this, that just kind of gave up. They got fired from their job, and they were like, all right, well, the government's going to give me money. I'll just figure it out when I figure it out. It's just so crazy to see those 2 different sides of the spectrum on that when COVID hit.
Yeah, I was kind of in the middle, right? So when we got furloughed, obviously we were getting some of the that government money. And then I realized that while one of the things, because we had a non-compete, but when you're furloughed, your non-compete is is null and void. So a lot of the people that I worked with were already training people on the side. And I was actually waiting to close on the house. That's when I had a religious ceremony with my second wife. So I literally got married, or went through a procession to do that, and moved into a house, got furloughed, and then started a business all within 3 to 4 months, and then was stuck in a house with a brand new family. So it was. I tell people all the time, like, the pandemic was like the least of my problems during the pandemic. I went through a 1-year whirlwind marriage that was crazy.
I set up an office in Glasgow, and we started, was it late June of that, 2020, and built a huge practice during it, because people are also, there's both sides of it. There are the people that, and it was a political divide, there's no doubt, but the people that followed the shot, let's say, and went that route, and then there are the people that wanted to get an alternative to wellness. And I think, like, gym memberships kind of, it was so funny. The whole process was funny, but I think how you come out of that is also how you look at life. And if you got into something where you were saying, okay, this is an opportunity, versus, oh, what's, poor me, what's going to happen. So when you had, I mean, you started your business at that point, which is cool. And I started a really big practice, but I think it was like the same thing you were talking about with your grandparents. There's a way that you can take charge of your life, or there's a way that you can, like, let other people in charge of a responsibility and just coast. And I think that's what, we got into. I know people, one of the things I've been working with people lately is trying to, like you talked about, their breakfast, right? Cereal is one of the worst things you can eat. And then you pack on some kind of dairy with it. Anyway, there's a whole thing. Grain Brain's a good book on that. If you read how they actually, Quaker and all they actually set up. Like they said, if we have high sugar in these cereals, then the kids will want them, right? And then they found out if they just put a little salt in there too, that it made it almost addictive. And instead of saying, okay, this food's not good for you, but it's making us a lot of money, they just promoted it. So it's crazy. But yeah, I had a grandmother that she was on, at one point, 23 medications. And
it was insane.
Her doctor passed away, which was actually good for her, because the new doctor said, why are you on 23 medications? She was on 5 heart medications. And that's what they told her. Because I kept asking her, I'm like, what do you have? And she says, they say I have a stone heart, which means, inflammation of the muscles are not working correctly, that kind of thing. So she got off the meds, and within about a month, she'd been bedridden for almost 10 years. And within a month of being clean, she was up and about. And I mean, yeah, it's insanity what they do now.
Yeah, the thing, I think the biggest part of that upsets me is, right, so I'm not a super hippie, and I think that modern medicine is praise God for modern medicine and a lot of the great advances that we've had and things that have happened, but especially in our culture, I mean, around the world in general, but especially with the quick fix society that we live in, it just became, instead of actually treating the actual problem, was take this, it'll fix that. Oh, that caused the problem. Well, here's another one to fix that problem. Instead of going, you know what, maybe you should focus on what you're eating, or what are you doing to your body, or how you're treating yourself. And if that doesn't work, okay, well then let's start looking at some medications that we actually might need. It's just give them the pill first, ask questions later, as opposed to, hey, can we practically fix this? Great.
Yeah.
I don't think people realize how many things you can fix with just your diet. Like, just focusing on your diet, you can fix so many things. And then you add exercise to that, and then you can do even more. But people just,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
between the laziness and how everybody wants everything immediately, like
absolutely. It's one of those things where when you're working at a big box gym, you're selling, in particular, you're selling a lot of training packages. You're selling a lot of the fitness aspect of it. When I got my nutrition certification, I was trying to find ways to bundle it where it made sense for my clients, right? Because it was always an additional thing. Uh, and as time went on, and I did more study, and I got more certifications, and I read more books, and then I just started to think of my own faith and spirituality. I just started to see the interconnectedness of a lot of it, and it's kind of, what Pop wants to talk about today. It's just, for me, that's why I hate calling myself a personal trainer. I stopped calling myself that. And, it's a long name, but it's, a strength, nutrition, and life coach, because it's all intertwined, right? It's not a coincidence that people that tend to do these things tend to feel better in different areas of life, or it helps them cope with, with stress, with depression, with things like that, and how one can affect the other. And one thing that also I started to notice is, like, so, I'm a Christian and in church, and you see a lot of people that are spiritually healthy, but physically they're ailed and riddled and they eat horribly. And then you would see people in a gym that look absolutely amazing and eat everything exactly right, but mentally they're an absolute mess. You would just kind of see this push and pull, and it's like, no, like, you can be all three. Like, it's okay to be like, take care of yourself, take care of your mind, and ipso facto, sometimes when you take care of those, you want to be nicer to people, or you want to better care of yourself, or reflect positively spiritually. And I think it's just a missed thing in our postmodern world, to be like, no, it's okay, you can still be a hippie and also be practical and take care of yourself. And then, again, when things aren't going, then okay, then we refer to those above us. But I always think of it as kind of preventative care. Like, have you done everything to make sure, can you change your oil? All right, maybe you don't need to change the carburetor yet. It's real simple stuff sometimes.
And I think that, like, you were talking about medicine, and of course that's one of my give me points. But we have a great crisis care. But what's happened is we've again, the price of convenience, if somebody actually added it up, is astronomical. I mean, in a bad way. Because what we have is, like, fast food and fast this and all that. I mean, quick oil changes I like. That's not so bad, but but when you go through, and even the prepackaged foods, and, like, if you read the ingredients, then that's, if it's in a box, it's probably not good for you. Or if it's in, in some type of a wrapper, it's probably not good for you. And I think the other thing is too, is, like, I had this recently. I was trying to lose weight, and I ended up gaining weight. And I was like, why am I doing this?
Okay.
And then as I was doing my research, I wasn't getting nearly the protein I needed. I was eating vegetables, and, but my body was like, okay, we need to collect everything because we're not getting enough of the right nutrients. And I think that was just a signal for me.
Yeah.
So I knew something wasn't working. So as I did some research on it, and it's stuff that I probably knew, but I was trying to stay lower on red meats and stuff like that. And just through that process. And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, this isn't working. What's going on? Because I'm not on any medications. I'll never take them, because there's always natural stuff out there. All the herbs, and it's just this. Ashwagandha is one of the things that people are always, what can I take for? And I'm like, first thing I say is ashwagandha. Just take it, because it's just an amazing adaptogen.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits.
So in that process, as I was working out too, my workouts weren't good. Just painful joints. And I was just like, I wasn't getting enough fat, and I wasn't getting enough protein. And it didn't have to be animal. It could be plant or whatever. So go ahead and speak about that a little bit, if you would.
Absolutely. So with most of my clients, actually hanging out at one of my best friend's house, and I work with him. And I'd say one of the first places I start with all my clients is I do a proper breakdown, right? So one of the problems that people first run into when trying to lose weight or go quote unquote on a diet, I say the three biggest things is one is they actually don't know how many calories they need, right? And there's the Mifflin test online, the St. George Mifflin test. You can type in your numbers. It'll give you a general range of how many calories you should eat based on, age, weight, things of that nature. I work with Precision Nutrition. That's who I have my certifications through. So I have a calculator that I can take, age, weight, activity level, things like that to come into a proper healthy calorie amount to slowly and sustainably get to there. So first is most people don't know, right? Women are told in every magazine they read, eat 1,000 to 1,200 calories, right? And guys are like, all right, I'm just going to try and eat healthy. But almost everybody I would say that I initially start working with in some way, shape, or form is severely underneath in protein. Protein serves multiple purposes. First is satiation factor, right? So it keeps you fuller because your body has to break it down, all those amino acid chains and everything like that. It takes a long while to break down, which also has a sub effect called TEF, which is thermic effect of food. So there's specific foods we eat that actually increase your internal core temperature, which help you burn more calories because your body has to work harder to break down certain foods. So protein has that double end where it takes a while, keeps you fuller, also burns more calories to actually break it down into pieces that your body can use. And then from there, you can build muscle, right? So even for vegans, even if they eat certain foods that have adequate amounts of protein in them, the body doesn't necessarily process veggie proteins the same way it does animal proteins because it doesn't have complete amino acid chains. So it looks at it and goes, I kind of recognize that, but I can't do the things that I want to do, right? There's essential and inessential amino acids, things like that. To talk on the fat points, right? So that's one thing too, is getting healthy fats in, right? So the brain runs on fat, and most people aren't getting enough proper fats, right? Omega-3 and omega-6, going back to the grain problem, right? I don't know if they brought this up in the Grain Brain book, but omega-3 to omega-6, inflammation, right? So we need about 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 omega-6 fats to an omega-3 fat. And we get the American diet is like 64 or 128 to 1 when it comes to omega-6 and omega-3. So getting the proper amount of fats for things to function well to keep inflammation at a proper level, right? Because we need some inflammation to heal, but too much inflammation keeps you in a chronic pain situation, keeps cortisol levels high and things of that nature. So making sure that you get protein just because it's going to keep you full, which means you're going to eat less snacks and crap. It's going to help you build muscle if you're just doing some sort of strength training. It doesn't have to be a full-on, bodybuilding program or anything like that, but it's going to help you maintain or grow what you have. And that's going to keep you moving, right? So if you waste away at muscle, well, now your joints are doing double work because they're trying to carry around a whole stack of, fat or whatever it is you are at this point. You're just breaking down. So protein is something that I try and get everybody to eat. It's really hard to eat the amount of levels that people properly need, but just getting everybody at least over 100 grams of protein is a great place to start. And then, figuring out exactly how much you need after that is, a case by case basis. But we're under eating protein, and it's a hot mess.
Yeah, I mean, I know the stuff, and I got to this point where I was like, because my activity levels, I'm not working right now, so my activity level I thought was down. And it's not, it's just different. And I think that's part of the crazy stuff. The other thing as a chiropractor too, is I always get these comments about these gimmicks, these little tricks or things like that. That's like, hey, did you see this new thing? You can put it on your left thumb and your right thumb feels better, or, the back stretchy things, or how does that, I mean, I know in fitness they do this, they have a bunch of the same stuff. So what do you see the most that's like the gimmicky stuff that really doesn't work?
So, I mean, that would be, especially in the nutrition world, would be the diets. And in the strength world or in the exercise world would be hit. For nutrition, the diets. So again, somebody at Precision Nutrition did a whole mess of the diets, and I've done a bunch of the diets myself. the reason why a specific diet, whether it's keto or intermittent fasting or vegan or paleo, the reason why it works is that somebody made a decision to follow a diet.
Mhm.
And when you follow a diet, you almost invariably go into a calorie deficit. And ironically enough, most people, once they stop doing that diet, gain most of their weight back because they didn't pick something that was sustainable. They followed a fad, right? South Beach, all that stuff. And none of them necessarily, some of them do better than others. Some of them are much better advice than others, but they all work on the same fact that somebody made a decision in their life, followed it for a little while, and put themselves in a calorie deficit and they lost weight. But they didn't learn how to eat properly, which is what I try and work with everyone, right? Is once we have those calories, then we try and increase the quality of the calories that you're consuming, but also teaching people to break out of good versus bad food thinking. When it comes to the fitness world, HIIT took over, boot camps, things like that, 20 years ago, and they're still going. It's a really easy and inexpensive way to get a lot of people in a room and charge them money to get them to exercise. And they sweat and they can barely breathe, so they feel like I did something, I accomplished something. Where you burned a lot of calories, but you didn't burn a lot of fat, right? Because most people don't understand there's heart rate zones, and depending on where your heart is at, based on your VO2 max, which is how well your body's taking in and actually optimizing the oxygen you're taking in, means that your body's either using the Krebs cycle or the oxidative system to burn fat, or it's just burning calories. And if you're burning calories, well, your body's just going to grab for whatever's available. Fat takes a long time for your body to break down, so it just goes, all right, are there any carbs in your stomach? Cool, let's eat those. All right, we don't have any carbs. All right, glycogen in the liver. Out of that, okay, muscle's quicker and easier to break down the fat. Start breaking down muscle. And it gets sold on this EPOC, which is a post-exercise oxygen consumption, where, if you do HIIT because you worked out so hard, you're going to burn calories all day. The studies show you burn about 10% more calories throughout the day, which is like 36 or 50 calories. So, I did all this HIIT, I'm burning. Yeah, you burned a lot of calories during your workout. You burned a little bit more afterwards, and you didn't tap into any of your fat stores because you were beating the crap out of yourself and working really hard. Where when I started just focusing predominantly on strength training, I was building muscle and burning fat because I was in lower heart rate zones, and I was actually doing something to make the body build more muscle. When you have more muscle, you burn more calories naturally. It just makes more sense. Where the other one is trendy, and yeah, you get the feels, but you don't actually get the results.
Yeah, I've done pretty much everything, and I think it just boils down to that thing too. Is like you said, if you stick with it, right? And I know with HIIT, it's only like 2 to 3 times a week, and then I think people get into that space where they're like, okay, I did my 15 minutes Monday, I'll do it again Thursday, and then there's going to be some benefit if they continue with it, but you also need, like we were talking about bones, they have to break down before they can build, and you have to have that breakdown so that they can rebuild. So it's interesting and even when you said about the diet, people just followed it for a while and it worked, and then they stopped following it, it didn't work, and then they say, well, it didn't work. What did? You just didn't follow it. And I think that's
and I've done that because I lost a couple years ago. I lost 30 pounds, and it was because I was waking up early. I was having just protein for breakfast. I wouldn't have any carbs or anything, and then I would have whatever I prepped for lunch, and then I'd come home and we'd have we were eating healthier. We were making an effort, and I lost 30 pounds, and then we kind of got out of that, and I was waking up. I wasn't waking up early. I wasn't doing all this stuff, and then I gained it all back. But I didn't blame that on the diet. The diet worked. I stopped following it and stopped working out. But my favorite new thing that I've seen on Instagram and TikTok is that thing that you put on your belly, and it's the what is it called? It's like a TENS machine or whatever, and and they're like, here's your quick way to 6-pack abs. You shut your mouth.
Yes,
This is not gonna work.
It comes with
if it worked, everyone would spend $10 on a TENS machine and just attach it to your stomach and work out that way.
Well, it comes with a 6-pack crayon.
It's funny. Like if we talk about
you could draw it on yourself.
Talk about progress and things. And like, in the 90s when they were selling ab gimmicks, it was like 7-minute abs. You actually had to put in work. Like, all right, we can do it in 7 minutes if you just do 7 minutes of abs, but to get up and do something. And now we're like, do nothing.
Yeah.
Do nothing. It's going to work even better than doing the 7 minutes of something.
And things cycle like that. That was back in the 80s. They had when I first saw that, and they just recycle things. You know, one of the things that I just laughed because people are like, in the 50s, I guess it was, they had the belt machine that went around your waist.
Yeah, the belt machine. I'm using that. The whole take it in, you'll get rid of your side, you get rid of your man.
Right. So the best thing about that is it jarred the lymph system. It got it moving, and you could detox some, but it wasn't like what they were. You know, it was probably something that a guy invented to see the girls do it at the gym or something. I don't know.
My favorite, my favorite supplement I've seen is the colon broom, which I'm sure we're not supposed to say names on here, but nobody listened. If colon broom writes me an email telling me to cease and desist, that'll be the best day of my life. Be like, who's listening? That's going on. How many streams does this have? But colon broom, because they always like. So I went on their website because I got sick of seeing it, and I know it's bullshit. Like, you can't take a drink and just lose weight. Like, there's no way that. Yeah, maybe it might clear out some junk that's in my colon, but if I took Metamucil, it'll do the same shit. But so,
pun intended.
I'm reading it, and they're like, "Oh, you want to lose?" Not on purpose. What? Yeah. But like, so, and I typed in everything just to see like what their promises were. I wanted to see how long they thought that it would take me to lose 60 pounds. So I was like, okay, put my height and weight in, put the like fairly active, because even with work I have to walk around, like I have to do stuff. So they're like, oh yeah, it'll take you 60 days to lose that weight. I was like, there's no way. There's no a pound a day. You're going to have me lose a pound a day. There's no way. Unless there's 60 pounds of crap in my colon, there's no way I'm losing 60 pounds.
Well, let me tell you a funny story about that, right? And this will feed right into it perfectly. So, I worked at Lifetime Fitness, and every quarter we would do a 60-day challenge. And I was somebody had signed up somebody for the 60-day challenge, Shelly. And she joined my one of my team classes that I taught. And Shelly was with me for 1 hour a day, and she was riding a bike for an hour a day and in the pool an hour a day. She was literally working out 3 hours a day. And she lost 60 pounds in 2 months. She won the company award, right? Out of all the lifetimes she won it. I got to be part of that. After, she had some financial things, I still let her come to my class, all that stuff. And she won. And it was great to see that happen. But here's the problem is that Shelly, a couple weeks after winning, her body broke down. She got injured because her body, you can't do that to your body unless you're a professional athlete and you've spent your life building up the endurance and the ability to do that. And again, they're also doing it in their peak life. Here's somebody putting 3 hours a day of extreme taxing things for this goal, and she got it. And then afterwards, she got injured, got hurt, and put all the weight on plus another 10 pounds. And then was in this perpetual struggle of trying to get back to, the glory days of when she did it. But, I tell people all the time, like, I can help you lose 30 pounds in a month, but it's not sustainable. It's not good to you. How about you lose 30 pounds over the year and you'll be able to keep it off because you did simple and practical things that are manageable as opposed to extreme things. Extreme results require extreme upkeep. Exactly. If you do simple things, you don't have to worry about the upkeep. It's just, even if you take a step back, okay, it's just one step to get back on and move forward.
And it goes to the whole convenience or like the immediacy that we have in this culture. Like, nobody wants to take 3 pounds a month. I'm only going to lose 3 pounds. That's a lot of pounds a month to lose. Because guess how many pounds I lost this month? None. So, like, people don't think of it like that. They think of it, that's 3 times as much. People don't think in terms of, like you said, sustainability. People want instant results now. And it goes, but it also goes to, like you were talking about with the fast food and cereal. People give their kids cereal because it's something easy that literally their kids could go downstairs. Like all of my kids can go make their own bowl of cereal if they wanted. But most of the time, what they want is for me to make bacon and eggs on the griddle. But because that's more of a I don't know, it takes longer and it's something that has to be prepared by someone, they don't want to do that. Now, I buy my eggs in 3 dozens at Costco because we go through eggs. We eat eggs all the time. Same with chicken. I don't think we eat red meat hardly ever. Like it's once in a while. But we're always eating chicken. The kids eat chicken, and most of the time it's healthier than, like you said, if we went and bought, like definitely healthier than fast food, and it's a lot better to just buy chicken and make a recipe with it that takes 20 minutes. But a lot of people want these like prepackaged, or hey, just add rice to this and you'll have like, and it can't be good for you. But that's
hamburger helper, baby.
Which, I mean, fine, if you eat hamburger helper, that's whatever. But don't expect to lose weight when you're eating hamburger helper 6 nights a week. It's not going to happen.
Exactly.
But it's just, and people want immediate, but they also want it to be sustainable. So they want the quick way to losing weight, but they also want it to be sustainable, and it's just not realistic. It's slow and steady wins the race. It's not slow or fast and steady wins the race. That's not how it works. You have to take the time, and you have to. And I'm not an expert, but from what I've been told by it, when I was in the military, when I was trying to lose weight, they told me that you can't just change. You have to change your mind first, and then once you've made your mind be like, okay, this is what I'm doing. You have to keep up with it and keep going with it. That's the only way you're going to succeed in any type of anything, really, but especially weight loss is that way, because if you just kind of are like, I'll lose a little bit of weight, it's not gonna last. And being able to make that commitment is the hardest part of losing weight, because it's just like everything's so easy. Junk food is so easy to get, and it's so easy to not take a walk or run or do whatever workout you have. It's a lot easier to not do that than it is to do that.
For sure. So, and that ties into, right, so the mind part of the mind, body, soul control. Your mind and your body have two main objectives. Your body is to maintain homeostasis, right? Your body doesn't want to lose weight. It doesn't want to gain weight, doesn't want to lose weight. It wants to stay exactly where it's at. It's like, I like this. And your brain wants to keep you safe, right? Biologically, we are designed to make sure for safety. But the problem is, because of modern day time, safety has become easier to achieve. So now, like you said, one of the biggest things I work with on my clients is first establishing some of those basic habits, because habits last. Most people wait for motivation. That's a different topic for later, but motivation is the worst thing in the world to wait for. Build simple habits. So when you build a habit, you have to start small, because if you haven't worked out at all, and you say, hey, brain, we're gonna go run for 45 minutes. We're gonna go lift strenuous weights. Your brain says, fuck that. If you sit on the couch, I'll continue to give you the same dopamine hit for doing nothing. So just hit okay again on Netflix, and don't do that hard thing, because that's gonna suck, and we have to get up and move and yada yada yada. So if we start small and start developing those habits, when you ask your body and you ask your mind, a week or two after that, say, hey, we did 15 minutes pretty consistently. You want to do 30? Your brain goes, all right, that seems safe. I'll try that risk. I'll try those things. And we can start to break down some of those dopamine patterns, or some of the, the neurological patterns that we've created in the mind, to keep on doing those same simple habits, because the brain will just be like, dude, I'll just give you what you want for way less work. Reprogramming the mind takes time, but if you do it appropriately, then you've created new neural pathways where your brain actually rewards you for the harder things and replaces the others. But you have to be careful because it will always want to try and find the easiest path to do and give you whatever it is that you want.
Yeah, I think that's like you talked about a lot of that in the mind has ego pushing it. And that's why I think that's why you see two main, like you'll see the people that are really, really fit, really, and that's because that's their push. Then there's the other people that are, like you said, if we do this, it's going to hurt. It's going to, we might do something. But I think the balance of that is, and you could touch on this too, is recovery is such an important time too. Like if you're doing, like I do a lot of spiritual work and I work with people, and then the integration of it, of what they've learned and bringing it into themselves is very important. I think the same thing with workouts. What I find is if I do a workout, say I tried to do chest for 5 days straight, well, that's going to blow my whole system because I didn't have time to recover. Especially the older I get, I have to have more time to let it cover, and then recover. Then I also have to have the right nutrients. So I like the way that you put your title in, because those are parts of you can't just have one of them. I mean, you can, but it's not going to be as effective as if you touch on everything.
Exactly. And there's a lot more overlap than some people think, right? People kind of silo everything when it's like, no, they all really work together a lot more. Again, to go to one of your original points is that when you're working out, well, the body's releasing more endorphins. Again, there's some dopamine spikes and things like that for different behaviors. Well, those things directly correlate to less anxiety, less depression in the person, right? And at the same time, when there's less anxiety and less depression in the mind is much more open to doing things like harder workouts or more activity and things like that. And they kind of feed, reciprocally off of each other in the sense that the more you take care of one, it gives you some more freedom or more space to take care of the other. And then, oh, that feels good. Well, I think I could do this and I could do this. And then once people feel, again, I'm very touchy when it comes to like the love yourself thing, right? I think there's a proper self-love and there's a toxic new agey self-love that gets pushed out there. But people that properly understand and have a good relationship with themselves will then go out and be better and kinder people to other people too. And it's just this, they all work together in such a fantastic way that it's almost silly not to work on or realize that you might be working on all of them at the same time. And to touch on your recovery piece real quick, I give this anecdote to people all the time. In the summer of 2019, I was working out 5 days a week. I was eating extremely well, but I was working my fitness job, and I'm a musician too. So at that time, I was still on the club scene, and I had young daughters. I was a single dad. When I had my daughters for a weekend, from Friday to Sunday night, I would sleep 6 hours over 72 hours between working my day job, being at the clubs to play in the band at night, getting 2-3 hours to get up, spend time with my kids, be a dad. And no matter how hard I worked, even though I was eating well, my workouts were great, because there was no recovery and my cortisol was running so high, I could not lose weight to save my life. I was just stuck at 191 no matter how much. And I was a monthly 191, but there's a lot of body fat. I made the decision to leave the band, and I continued those good habits I was doing. I bought a new bed so I could increase my sleep. I started sleeping better and getting better recovery, and I lost 10 pounds in a month, and all of it was body fat, and my muscle mass went up. My inflammation went down just because I put in the proper recovery tool to take care of my body. You can do all the things right, but if you're not recovering, well, your body is just going to continue to stay inflamed. It's continuing to say, well, I can't do the work that you want me to do because you don't give me the time to do the things. The most important part of the workout isn't the actual workout. It's the recovery afterwards. If you push it in the gym and then the next day you over push yourself, well, now your body is in catabolism as opposed to anabolism, right? Breaking down as opposed to building up. You got to find the balance of rest and recovery to go along with some of these new things. Most people think it's just go all the time. It's no. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that makes sense. They that, and not just in the physical, like you said, even in the nutrition. One thing that I found too is that I don't have a set schedule. I pretty much eat because I'm by myself, so I can pretty much eat what I feel like I need to. And if I'm, and I also take into account that I need to have that protein. So if I do something, I'm like, then I'll go grab, like I make probably 2 to 3 pounds of chicken Sundays. And then on Thursdays, I just prep my meals. And I don't mind cold chicken. I just go throw it in salad or something like that.
I do the same thing.
But the stress of not eating also makes your body understand how to deal with things. The stress of loving yourself, right? I've always said, if Jesus would have written the commandments, there would have been one: love yourself. And if you do that in the right ways, you still have to be a little sarcastic with yourself. You have to be tough on yourself mentally. It's the same thing. You have to have those points of stress so that you can build stronger in a stressful time. Your body understands the pathways. It understands the things. Same thing with physical. And spiritual is the same way. We go through these tough times. It's like, okay, I got to figure this out. This wasn't exactly how I was supposed to act. Let me go through this. But that's that's part of your recovery or your integration, I say, of what happened. And the journaling is a huge thing for me when I do that, because it keeps me accountable to me. And I can also go back to my old journals and go, oh, wait, this is the way I was 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And in 10 years, I'll look at my journal now and say, oh, wait, that's where I was, So it's the positive growth of everything that you can do, and writing it down and having structure, not firm structure, but structure that allows you to do a self-check, let's say. And I think that's an important way to go with that.
I call it bumper bowling.
Call it what?
Yeah.
What do you
call it? Bumper bowling?
Bumper bowling, yeah.
So you don't want to have you don't want it to be super rigid. You want to have room for the ball to go back and forth, but you don't want to go over the lines. Another analogy I give all the time too is if you think of yourself as a car, right, and you're driving, what is the worst thing that you could do if you were in the fast lane? Well, it would be to slam on the brakes, right? Because then you're gonna get hit. You're gonna cause a pileup behind you. The whole road's gonna shut down. Most people, that's what they do in life, right? They go, and eventually, whether it's stress, whether it's something happens where they go, especially with their fitness and nutrition routines too. But they just go, you know what? It's just too much. I'm gonna stop, and then everything falls apart. And then you now have to put your car back together or go get a new car, metaphorically, and then finally get back on the road after you've recovered from the mess you made. For the best thing you can do is go, hey, things are getting kind of hot. I'm in the fast lane. Let me get over. Let me turn my blinkers on, right? Let me turn on my caution lights. Let me just get over into, even if I just have to drive 25 miles in the shoulder, don't give up, but slow yourself down enough that you can get to a place where you're okay to get back into the fast lane and slowly start making your way over. Stop slamming on the brakes. Just slow down. And again, if the check engine light comes on, check it out. Don't just hit don't hit the tire button and hold it down until the tire thing goes away. I learned that one the hard way.
Get some
Listen,
tape.
You obviously don't drive a Volkswagen, because if I turn my Volkswagen on and there's not a light on, there's going to be a problem. But I like what you guys were saying about the I love to love yourself thing, because I feel like people have lost what that means. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, people are saying, "Oh, love yourself." Like, okay, love yourself how? But they mean, oh, if you're fat, love that you're fat, or if you're too skinny, love that you're too skinny, or if you're an alcoholic, love yourself anyway. But that's not real love. That's just acceptance. Love is, it's just like, I tell people all the time, it's like when you have kids. All of us have kids. All of us love our kids. But if our kids were doing something that's completely detrimental to their health and not good for them, we're going to tell them, hey, stop that shit. But but for some reason in this fucked up culture that we're living in right now, it's okay. And I'm not trying to fat shame anybody. I'm too big anyway. I'm chubby. It's fine. But I don't want to be like this, but I've been dealing with the mental side of things for a long time, and I'm finally in a place where I can get to the body part, because mentally the more detrimental to me at the point. But we can't live in this. Every time somebody says, "Oh, you got to love yourself," every time they're using it in that context, I just think of like feral kids running around with guns in the house. Like, you should stop them. It's something bad's going to happen. But then you're just like, oh, well, I love them, so I can't tell them no. No, that's not. You take the gun away, beat the shit out of them, and tell them to go sit in their room. Like,
yeah.
Okay, again, don't beat the shit out of your kids.
Caveat.
Metaphors.
Public service announcement.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I shouldn't have to do, but this day and age you have to tell people, because one person listens to this podcast and beats the shit out of their kids, and then I get sued. But
yeah,
it's just there's such a lack of accountability anymore. Like, I understand that I am the weight I am. Now, Brent saw me yesterday. How much do you think I weigh just from seeing me? He saw me with my shirt off too. So let's see if he guesses right. This isn't
between 250 and 260.
I'm 275. So
okay.
And with clothes on, I don't look like I weigh 275 pounds. No one says that I'm like fat. Everybody, like, I'm chubby, but nobody's like, oh, look at that obese whale. But I'm only this size because of choices I made. Like, nobody made me get this way. I had shitty eating habits since I can remember, because, well, and not when I was a kid, it wasn't bad because mom was usually cooking, but my entire adult life I've had bad eating habits, and that goes from being in the military and you just eat junk all day and anyway, but then now that's
must be the new military.
Ash and I are doing it. Oh, don't start. We didn't have a galley on our base, so we had to go eat at Subway or Wawa. But like, Ash and I have decided to take this weight loss journey together. So we're both working on it together. Now, she said she needed to lose weight the other day in front of somebody, and you get the look, being the husband, you get the look like, did you tell her she needs... First of all, I would never tell her ever to lose weight, because, first of all, I don't know if I'm going to be the pot or the kettle. Second of all, that's not my place. Like, that's what we've been talking about it has to be her decision. And I married her because I love her, not because she was a certain weight. But you also do want them to be healthy, but it's up to her, and it's not up to me. But
it's up to you. It's up to you for you
with all this stuff. For me, it's up to me, but it's not for her.
Okay.
I like that you exactly what you're talking about, right? There's if you really love somebody, the best thing you can do is to tell them the truth in love, right? Loving way. And at the same time, you can accept without acceptance. So I have an acronym for my company that I call audio manipulation, right? So I play a lot on that fit cult thing, because why not make yourself even less marketable? My technique is audio manipulation, and it's AUDIO. So A is accept. Like, wherever you're at, whether you want to lose weight, when you get stronger, whatever it is you've done in life, whether you've screwed up, whether, some of my clients, literally, we've saved marriages, right? In between reps, I've helped people get in the right place, but all of it just comes down to accepting where you're at. Your choices have led you to today, and that's okay. Even if you made bad decisions, it's fine, but you have to own it.
Right.
Because that's the first step, is you can't blame somebody else. You can't do that. Even in the day and age we live in, yes, some people, unfortunately, one way or another, have dealt with, a dishonest boss or a racist person that has done horrible things to you. However, there's been 10 million other choices that are yours. And the way that you've reacted to all those have gotten you to where you're at today. And that's perfectly fine. Once you accept the fact of the reality of where you're at, you understand, learn, okay, what do I have to do to change this reality? Right? From there, you then have to make the decision, the D. you have to decide, okay, now that I accept where I'm at and I know what I need to do about it, am I going to decide to do something about it? Am I going to take this and make it an action? From there, you implement it into your life. And then O is a double O. It's either overcome or observe. If things are going well, just continue to observe it. Make sure you're staying up with those habits. If something's not going wrong, okay, what do we have to do to overcome this hurdle that we've created? But it all starts with just owning where you're at. You know, that played a huge part in the way that my life has always been this changing, crazy story. But the past 2 years of my life, owning a lot of those things have opened up 10 million doors to more peace and more just tranquility in my everyday life, just by going, I'm going to own that and I'm just going to do something about it. Or, that's something that might eventually get changed, or if not, it's one of my quirks, and, it's going to stay out there, and I don't care.
Well, I don't know.
But, doing the other thing that you were talking about, the positivity of obviously bad things is not helping anybody.
Right.
Like, bro, you're going to die. Stop.
Right. Well, and then, like these people talking about how they're going to sue the airlines because they're charging them for 2 seats. You take up 2 seats.
Yeah.
It's not like I have to pay for my kids to fly. Like the rest of you might be one of my children. Not Xander, because he's a giant, but.
Yes, he is.
All right, Dad, I think we're hitting the end of it. You ready? What do you think? You got a call to action?
Well, let's see. How could people contact you, Brent?
That's great. So working on my website currently, but right now, Instagram, Brent the Black Sheep, all one word. I also have an alternate Instagram, Black Sheep Fit Cult. If you type those in, you can find me. Again, I give everybody a free 30-minute consultation. We'll sit down. At the very least, you'll have some basic things you can do on your own if you're not in a position to work with me personally as a coach. But if you follow those, again, I throw out tips. I try to post almost every single day, give you some sort of motivation or give you some information and everything like that. There we go. There's the sticker. Boom, boom,
nice.
Boom. Good. There's Black Sheep Fit Cult, short for fitness culture. But I like messing around with people's expectations of things, so I went with full cult imagery, because why not?
There you go.
Oh, that'll get you a lot of looks. And he'll be tagged in everything anyway, so it's not like they won't be able to find him.
All right, ready to tear this thing down a little bit? Oh, call to action. We should do one of those too.
Yes.
So a couple. This came to me this week. 2 call to actions. First of all is reach out to at least 5 people that you haven't reached out to, that may need to hear somebody's out there for them. You can do it 5 every day, 5 a week. I don't care. Just reach out. And the other thing is learn how we've been duped in nutrition and fitness. And if it seems like it's too easy, then it's probably wrong.
It is. If it's too good to be true, it is.
Yes, but at the same time, getting in shape and eating well can be easy if you do it the right way.
Like we talked about, just having
easy,
prepping meals
easy,
and stuff.
but not a
super convenient.
Not a miracle. It still takes work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me when
Brent, you got one?
When your belly thing comes in, Bobby.
What?
Let me know when your belly thing comes in.
I'll tell you. I'll let you know. It would be great. I have a 6-pack before Christmas. I'll have a 6-pack.
Anything you want to say for the end, Brent? Did you hear me? Anything you want to tie up the end with?
Oh, no. Thank you so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for giving me a platform to talk. Hopefully this won't be the last time.
No, definitely not.
You guys are awesome. Pop, it was great to meet you today. Bobby, always a pleasure, man. I love you. It's always great to see you and the family. It's always fun because every time I see y'all got something there's either a new child or
Ashton's having a
you're
surrogate.
or something like that. So it's always great to see what you guys are up to. But you both are awesome people. You know, I love seeing your relationship is a cool relationship. It's different than most marriages, but it's a good marriage.
Oh, it's something else.
Yeah,
but it works for us, and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, listen, it's not perfect, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's been easy for her. It's been easy for me, but we are perfect for each other, and it works, and we're both happy, and we got 4 little brats running around the world now, so only gets better from here.
Amen.
But yeah, Brent, thanks for coming on. It was great. It was perfect timing. Seeing you yesterday, it was awesome. So I'm glad we got you on here, and it definitely won't be the last time. So I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brent.
And just remember,
you are not broken, and you're not alone. And somebody's going to reach out to you this week.
Love it.